Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. We're excited. Yesterday we received a review copy of the new book, Vegan Under Pressure by Jill Nustenau. And today we're going to cook the chickpea and garlic hummus recipe. And this recipe was reproduced by the permission of Houghton, Mifflin, and Harcourt. Okay, well, before we get started on this recipe here, in the future we're going to be doing a giveaway for this Vegan Under Pressure book. And just stay tuned, and on our Facebook page you can visit that, and we'll be giving that a free giveaway at some time in the future. And so anyhow, this recipe of chickpeas and garlic for hummus, it calls for 2 cups of your dry chickpeas. And so we're going to be using the Instant Pot pressure cooker for this. And so let me put in these 2 cups of, these were soaked, I had soaked them overnight. And then it also calls for 1.5 cups of water. We're going to pour that in. And then it also calls for 1/2 teaspoon of cumin seeds. I also love using the cumin seeds in my chili when I make my chili. You could use them even just cumin seeds in your white basmati rice or brown basmati. I was at an Indian restaurant months ago, and that's one thing they used in their rice, and it was really good. And then let me just show you a quick tip on how to cut up your garlic. And they also call for 6 to 8 cloves of garlic in this recipe. But when you go to peel your garlic, it's kind of just takes a while. It's kind of a pain, And so one thing I learned is I used to watch Food Network a lot, and Chopped and Throw Down with Bobby Flay, and always trying to learn little kitchen tips and tricks. And so, but one thing they always did was you take your clove of garlic and get your knife, lay it flat, and then you just kind of just smack it down a little bit, and then you can peel it, and the outer shell here just comes off really easy. Basically, just falls right off. And first, of course, you want to cut the little end off at first, but it just makes it a lot easier to peel. It kind of separates the outer shell from the garlic itself. And then we just have 2 more cloves of garlic to cut up here. The smaller you make your garlic, the more flavor it'll be able to put into the pot. I think that pretty much does it. I'll throw that in there. And this recipe calls for 14 minutes at pressure. So we're going to put the lid on. And always make sure your valve is closed up top. Sometimes I do forget mine, and you'll know it sooner or later. You'll hear it start to hiss, so you just have to come over and close it. So it calls for 14 minutes at pressure, So we're going to turn it on manual, and then I'm just going to scroll down here to 14 minutes. So we have 14 minutes, and it's going to come on in a few seconds. And then it says, so once that's done at pressure, we'll see you back here. So anyhow, the chickpeas are done. We cooked them for 14 minutes at pressure, and they probably sat another 15 minutes or so. And so, for natural release. And so this is what they look like inside. So they turned out really nice. You want them to be nice and soft for the hummus when you put it in your food processor. So I'm just going to take this and strain it. And I put another bowl below the strainer so that it catches the liquid, because we might want to add that to the hummus if we want it just to be a little bit more liquefied. And so I'm going to just take these chickpeas and measure 2 cups out here. And then put the 2 cups in the food processor. You know, we love our hummus. I used to buy my hummus from Trader Joe's, and you know, they'd have 2 types of hummus. You can get it with tahini oil in it or without. And you know, since we're following a whole food plant-based lifestyle here, we tend to, or we try not to put oil in anything, but this recipe does call for 2 tablespoons of sesame tahini, you know, and that's up to you whether you would want to add that or not. So anyway, we have 2 cups of the chickpeas in the food processor. I'm going to move the pressure cooker behind me and move up the food processor. And so to that we're also going to add 1 tablespoon of I'm going to use the Bragg's liquid aminos. We love that stuff here for flavoring for our rice and potatoes and stir fries. We use that at our house. And also what we'll do is I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon of the cumin, and then just a smidgen or a dash of cayenne pepper. You could also probably add hot sauce if you wanted to, you know. And then 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice there. And then I'm also going to add, I had 2 more cloves of fresh garlic that I'm going to add to this. And so this would add a nice garlic flavor to everything. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of that liquid from the chickpeas. So we're going to pour a little bit of that in there, and then get the lid and pulse this a few times. The recipe says you can either use a blender or the food processor. So anyhow, it's starting to look nice and creamy. Let me just move some of it down off the edges down into the bottom here. Has some pieces of garlic sticking up there. And then maybe a few more seconds and we'll be done. You want it to be nice and creamy. So anyhow, this is a nice old timer GE food processor. I sometimes keep my eye out for them in Impacts at thrift stores. You know, they're nice heavy plastic, nice heavy motor. I use this one. I actually have a couple of them. I keep my eye out for some for my daughters, you know. But I would encourage you, you know, you could also go to thrift stores and look for these old food processors. You can save a lot of money. The plastics are nice and heavy, and the motor is nice and strong. And so anyhow, let's scoop out some of this hummus. Pull that blade out of there. And I'm just going to scoop some there in the bowl. It looks nice and creamy. And so I saved some of the cooking liquid from the chickpeas that were in the pressure cooker. You know, you always want to start with a little bit. Don't add too much, because then if it's too wet, too liquid, then you can't do anything about it. And so what we're going to do is, what I did here, I made some chips. And so what you can do is, you know, take some of your sprouted grain tortilla shells and or some of your, I get these from Trader Joe's, they're corn tortillas, and they're just made from white corn and water and lime. And so this one I microwave for 1.5 minutes, and then the Ezekiel sprouted grain tortilla was 2 minutes. And so you'll be amazed at how good of a chip that makes. You can just hear them crunch. And I really like these tortilla ones because they're nice and crunchy. These have been sitting out for a few minutes, and so they get nice and crunchy. So let's give this a try here. I think Howie wants some too. All right, there you go. I knew he couldn't resist. But anyhow, this tastes good. It has a nice garlic flavor to it. Delicious. It's nice and creamy. And the chips are delicious. You could even add a little bit of hot sauce to it now if you wanted to. If you'd like a little bit more hot sauce to it, a little bit more heat, you could do that as well. And so anyhow, this would make a great snack. You know, it's nice and healthy. It's health promoting. And the chickpeas are high in fiber, soluble fiber. And, you know, it's just a wonderful, healthy meal. So anyhow, it's really been fun making this hummus with chickpeas and garlic. And, you know, you could also use vegetables and dip your vegetables in this. Or if you have pita bread, you could put this in your pita bread with, you know, veggies and so on. And so it's just nice and healthy. You could take it to work with you, or even a snack after dinner, because it's, you know, very low in calories and just full of fiber and good nutrients for us. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this this video, and you know, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the section below. And if you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, please do so that you can receive future videos. So anyhow, I just hope you have a wonderful day. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.